Okay, so nirgunatvamatmano sangatvadishuteh. So he says that the first happiness. One minute, sorry. Okay, so nirgunatvam atmanaha asangatvadi shrutehe. So he says that the soul is nirguna. It is without the sat, raja, tama, guna, as we saw earlier, and also of being bigger, smaller, etc. Uh, if you go back to the first chapter, you will find that the same thing was said. Nirgunatva na chit dharma. There also we had seen that he had said that these are the dharmas of the chit, and it is not of the soul. So he's repeating that here, nirgunatvam atmanaha. Atma is devoid of satraja and tama gunas, asangatvadi shute. And also we hear, or the Vedas say, that uh, the soul does not get united, get stuck to matter. It gets united in the body, but that union is superficial, as we have seen earlier. So what this is implying is that because we are never connected with matter, so all these sorrow and happiness which is related to matter, we never, uh, it actually does not touch us. We are independent of it. Anything which is happening in this world actually does not reach the soul. The soul is independent of the world. This has been established by Shabda Pramanas, the biggest of them being the Vedas. So that is one sukha, the sukha of the Kevala Atma, the Atma which is devoid of its union with matter. The other one is, of course, because of its union with matter. So he says, Paradharmatvepi tatsiddhihi avivekat. So he says that even though the sukhas which are there because of matter, because of this body, they are paradharma. They are the dharmas of the body. They are not that of the soul. Still, we are able to experience that happiness. Tat siddhi. Tat siddhi means siddhi of sukha. Sukha is achieved because of aviveka. Aviveka, because we think that we are the body, so we have this. We feel connected to the body, even though that connection is not really there. Still, we feel connected to the body and perceive everything which the body is experiencing as our own. So whatever the body is enjoying, that becomes our enjoyment, and that is why that is one set of souls, one set of happiness. So see here, he is also not negating that happiness and not saying that it is not worth it. He, that is also purushartha only. It is also a valid goal to look forward to. Okay, we all should work for our own worldly improvement in life. So we must work for whatever gives us happiness. We must try and achieve that too. That is also a good goal to have. Nothing wrong with it, as long as, of course, you don't commit crimes on the way. It is a good goal to have. There is then the other goal in which we try and find ourselves as separate from matter. That the happiness is so amazing and so different from this kind of happiness that they are incomparable. Also, what you can guess from here is that just as the soul is able to connect with the body to the extent that we start feeling that this is our body, and so we experience everything which the body is enjoying. Similarly, when we achieve moksha, we are able to connect to God also in some way. Their ahankar is not there to provide that glue between the body and the soul. So, between uh, the soul and God, there is no glue. But at that time, you don't need a glue. When you are aware of yourself as yourself, then God starts revealing Himself to you as is. So then His bliss also starts getting reflected into you. That is why I've been telling you this, because this gives you an indication that the soul is capable of experiencing the properties of something which is not itself, properties of something else. So same thing
So
happens.
in the Jivan Mukta state, both synapses exist.
Yes, yes, you can say that. Of course, one of them is weakening, so you are no longer actually seeing. No, I am sorry, I need to correct that. You actually have broken the synapse with the body. So you are now very clearly at all times aware of yourself as the driver, and your car is separate. And now you're just connected to the extent that you can drive the car. So you can hold the steering wheel, start the ignition, whatever. uh, that control lies with you, but you stop enjoying uh, whatever the body is enjoying. So that enjoyment
Okay.
part of the
Okay,
body.
I understand how you said it. Basically, both the synapses, sorry, the correct pronunciation, like you said, synapses. Both the synapses exist for everyone, except most of us are aviveki about both. We confuse ourselves with the body. We are not aware of our link to the Supreme.
Yeah,
So we are just immersed in that one link.
yeah.
When we are Jivan Mukta or a Viveki, then we are aware of both the synapses. Is that how I can say?
um,
Until we are living, and after that we tear the body synapse, of course.
so as long as you're clear about the fact that the connection which you are experiencing today with the body, that same connection will not be there in the Jivan Mukta.
Yeah, like you said, it is not a connection of without nirahankara connection.
Yeah, it is actually that connection is broken at that point, really speaking. Just that one minor strand is remaining, which is allowing you to control your body.
Okay, the
Otherwise,
life linkage. Yeah.
yeah, correct. And otherwise, all experiences of the body are uh, affecting you at a very great distance. You can see that, okay, I have touched the ground while you're walking. So that much you do experience. But all this joy and sorrow business, the bhoga part is completely gone. Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot of ground today. I think we will cover lots in this uh, chapter. We will go very fast because most of it is known to you, and very little lies outside. So I don't see you having too many doubts also. I don't want to go any more any further now, because we have already done 11 sutras. But where are we on time? We are still actually 15 minutes away. So if you have any
No, here
questions,
actually what
cover that
happens,
first.
Uttara, is until people become comfortable with Zoom in a sense of using it like a live meeting,
Yeah,
they are very hesitant to interact. See, you see, I am not hesitant at all to interact.
correct.
I mute, unmute myself and jump in.
Yeah.
Others should be similar. Others don't be hesitant to unmute and participate, please.
So I'm opening the floor now. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead.
Uttaraji, I have a question.
Tell me.
It is not related to this particular chapter, but overall,
Mm-hmm.
that we were discussing in one of the chapters that the soul takes on another body, after its body goes away. And there is this balance of your good karmas and bad karmas that God decides and then sees which is the body that, he will send it to you, send you or send the soul. Now, my question is, there are too many thoughts, but there are some times when you don't want to touch a topic in your life, don't want to get into some stuff, because instead of that is your perception of getting into bad karmas. Okay, like for example, instead of solving a problem, I would just get out of the problem. I don't even want to get into it and try and solve it, and I don't know what will be the results, solution, so on and so forth. Right. Now, when it is decided that this particular soul will enter that body into that family, does it happen that because in your previous janma you have tried to run away from some problems,
very good.
You end up getting into a family or a body which has more of those problems that you ran away from the previous.
So I don't know if it will, you will experience more of that same problem. See, the problem you are encountering is because of your karma, right? You
Yes.
are hitting into this issue because of your karma. Now, if you have experienced enough of that problem that your karma is now over, then you are finished and done with it. But
correct.
If there is some more left over, then yes, you will maybe experience similar situations. So
I think I know what she means, because sometimes we don't participate in something which we could have taken the extra effort and participated in.
Exactly.
Say,
exactly.
Hey, it's okay, others are doing it, let me focus on my thing. We become swarthis. And
that is
and then you feel totally guilty about it for the rest of your life. That thing.
No, Anuj, no, it's not only that. Like, for example, there are issues like, some relationships are more a torture, saying hello also is a torture sometimes. So I feel, enough, I would want to run away from these particular people, or, whatever, it could be anything.
So that is actually perfectly fine, because
that is actually, Uttaraji, I am putting it in this way that is my way of solving it. Okay? I don't want to keep up with that person, okay, or with that job for that matter.
Correct.
I don't want to get into gardening or cooking because I don't like it. But it shouldn't happen that, will it happen that in the next janma, I will be given more of that job that I've always tried to, but that's my
keep running away, Mana.
No, not
it.
No, not really. It will not work like that. See, one is your duty. So whatever is your duty, however unpleasant it might be, you have to do it. There is no running away from duties. And then there are these social obligations or other obligations which are not really obligations in the sense that they are duties.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
some things are duties, like your friend needs you for something, then maybe you need to go. But again, that need part is a very open thing. You cannot always say that every need of your friend is a need which that you also must participate in and must try and fulfill. That is not part of your duty. So there are some duties towards our friends also. I'm not saying you don't have any duties towards your friends. There are certain duties which are there. Apart from those, there are those interactions which are not part of your duty.
Correct.
There you do have a choice. So you do what you want to do, what is pleasant for you. And even among your worldly duties, there are those actions which are your duties. And then there is, for example, in our free time, what we do is up to us. But on the other hand, you have duties. So that is why Manu has actually laid down very clearly what are the duties of a man, what are the duties of a woman. You can, as a husband wife, have some agreement and say, this part of my duty I am assigning to you, and I will take this part of your duty. So that much agreement, if you have with your spouse, it is very good. In case of any trouble, the two are very well demarcated. For example, you said cooking and gardening. Cooking is the primary responsibility of the woman. Gardening is open. So one of you has to take it up. Cooking
Correct.
also, if your spouse is happy doing cooking, then you can assign it to your spouse. And if you are happy as a wife earning bread for the family, you can take it over. So that is an arrangement which you can still have with your spouse. In case there is a dispute, then Manu has laid down the dharma, that this is the dharma, you have to perform this, the other person has to perform this. Most of the time, whatever we are forced to do turns unpleasant, even when it started off by being pleasant. So, for example, cooking, you may enjoy cooking, but if you are required to do every day, day in, day out, then it becomes a chore. So that is normal human behavior. Cannot help that. We just have to find ways and means of making it interesting for ourselves. But other things, you have to distinguish. Is this dharma? Is this my duty? Am I required to do it or not do it? Those things which are optional, they will not necessarily come back to you. But say in this relationship with a friend, you are having maybe a sorrow or feeling of inadequacy or some pain which you are feeling in interacting with this person. That is actually the consequence of your action. That is coming to you due to some action which you did. If now this pain offsets your action, then you are done with it. But if more pain is due to you, then you may get another friend who hurts you in some way. That is a possibility. So that is how it may get carried over into your next birth, or may not get carried over as well.
Okay. I think there's a constant relationship with everything around you, right up to our last moments.
Yeah.
And some of the things that are not sorted out, or where the relationship is kind of still there, that gets carried over to the next.
Yes, that actually,
I mean, the
some extent I also believe in. I don't have any basis for this, but in other ways I have read about this, that this you are surrounded by almost the same people in your next birth as well, because they well reflect what is due to you. Okay, if they are giving you happiness, then they are there to give you happiness. If they are giving you some sorrow, then they are there to give you that sorrow. So most of us don't change so much over our lives. Our swabhava remains more or less the same, and we even commit the same mistakes over and over and over again. So for that reason, the same
tell me about it
due to you. Yeah, it's not at all easy to change your nature. And that is one thing which you come back to also after having taken great pains to change yourself. In a moment of not being cautious, you revert to it immediately. So that is the problem, and that is why we continue to live with the same people, experiencing the same things. That is something I believe in, but may not be, to take it with a pinch of salt.
Yes, agree completely.
Yeah, my thinking is
We
Yeah.
can never avoid our karmas. We have to go through that, one likes it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why, as you said, it's correct, absolutely, because we cannot avoid it. We
Yeah.
have come and we have taken this body, we have taken that Atman, so that all the, what you say, Sukshma Sharira and our Thula Sharira, all these are made up for that karma to be exhausted in this life.
Correct.
And again, we are already collected some more karmas which we are going to exhaust it in the next life or so.
Yeah.
But nobody can avoid the small karma or big karma or whatever, optional or any, all the karmas one has to go through that.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Exactly. Okay, so let us end our class now. If nobody else has a question, and we'll say our prayer and end. Okay. Okay, so please unmute yourself. We'll say our prayer. And please chant along with me. Om Abhayam
Abhayam
Mitra Abhayam
Abhayam
Mitra
Mitrat,
Abhayam
Abhayam
Jnana
Jnana,
Puroyah
Abhayam Puroyah, Abhayam
Abhayam
Nattam,
Nattam
Abhayam Divanah,
Sarva
Sarva
Sarvasha Mama Mitram
Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So much emphasis on Mitra part of this in this. It's a Mitra Sutra.
Yeah, yeah. It is a very nice one actually. This bhay can be the basis of many wrong actions and even our mental issues. So it's really nice to be abhay. So I feel is a very good sutra. For example, this coronavirus, all the bhay which we have, we're not stepping out of the home, we're not meeting anybody, we're not hugging anybody. So bhay can really change your actions. So hopefully we will all be abhay soon and this virus will go away. We pray to God.
Thank you for the class. Namaste.
Thank you, Uttaraji. Thank you so much.
Okay, see all of you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.